It's nice to hear some of Stuart's words there about scope. It fits right in. It would have been a disaster if he said something different. And it was nice to hear some of Dean's words fit in really well with what I'm going to say here. Apologies if that means it's not quite as new and original as we were hoping for. I'm going to try and give you a template here on how you can go about structuring your contracts. This comes from experience working with some clients, one client in particular, and talking to a number of companies that do this. You might have come across me before in this context. A few years ago, I wrote a piece called "Dear Customer: The Truth About IT Projects." You can download this for free on the Agile Connection website. It's a tongue-in-cheek look at how the IT industry structures its projects, its contracts, and what we actually do, and why we always seem to end up a bit of a winner and our clients don't. It's there in Agile Connection. It's also the prologue for one of my books, Zanpan. Please go and buy the book. If you subscribe to my newsletter list on my website, you can get the ebook for free. But that's just an aside, really. I want to start by making a couple of hypotheses. Because I find that when we get into this conversation about Agile and Agile contracts specifically, people say, well, that's all very good, except in the real world, clients want to award work on a fixed cost, fixed time, fixed feature basis. I mean, this is the housing model, isn't it? Tell me how much how big the house is going to be, how long it'll take to build, how many bathrooms it's got, and tell me how much it will cost. And as a result of that, most suppliers feel as if they have to bid on this basis, because most customers want to fix everything. They have to bid, and that's the real world, isn't it? So, you know, Stuart and Dean and I can talk about this stuff, but the real world. But let me also point out, some companies, and I suggest most of you who've joined this webinar see, like I said in the Dear Customer letter, there's problems to this. This doesn't always work. And some people and some companies are looking for something different. I also think there's another group of companies for whom this idea of fix looks decidedly odd. You know, why would you try and fix everything? The what you're going to get, the how long it'll take, the cost. I mean, we're professionals, and what other profession fixes this? Do you go to a lawyer and say, Mr. Lawyer, I'm being accused of murder. How long will it take to get me off this charge? Which witnesses will you call? What will the total cost be? On what day will I go free? For heaven's sake, here in the UK, you can't even specify that when you're buying a house. A few years ago, I tried to involve a lawyer to conveyance my house on a fixed fee, fixed contract. It got into such a mess, I had to hire a second lawyer to unpick the problems. Law doesn't operate like this. And when you go to your doctor, I'm sorry, Americans, I live in the socialized medicine world here, but you know, when you go to your doctor, do you say to your doctor, I've got this rash. How long will it take to fix this? How much will it cure? What drugs? You don't say these things up front. With other professions, you go there and it's an ongoing discussion. They try something, they see what happens. Maybe it cures, maybe it gets you off the charge. If not, you try something else, you have some more tests, and you iterate and you decide as you go along. So yes, the real world wants everything fixed, but I'm not sure that means it's the only way of working. And I have an observation. The companies I know who are working in an agile fashion, the companies I know who are bidding on and offering to work in an agile usually means scopeless fashion, are finding that their work is booming. They are getting more work. There are not many companies that do this, but the ones that do it have got more work than they can do, and they can charge top dollar. And I have another hypothesis for you. I'd like to suggest that companies that can work into an agile contract, and an agile contract is largely a scopeless contract, as Stuart was just saying, you can fix the overall objective, build me a CRM system, but you can't fix the details. And companies that will bid and will offer to work on an agile scopeless contract are the better companies. The companies which are not so good, the companies that are not so sure of their skills, the companies that are more worried about their ability to get the next deal, they are the ones who will want to lock you as a client into a fix. So I said I was going to draw on some experience here, and specifically, I'm modelling some of this presentation on some work I did in Bristol with a company called Zone Digital. They are a digital agency, and they are working on a large project for a construction company. And initially, the construction company said, we want to lift and shift something we've already got. So they wanted to get start quick. So they engaged quickly, they got going, and they decided to defer the contract details until a later date, 2 or 3 months down the line. So they got the team up and running, assembled the team. I went in, I gave some training to both sides, the suppliers and the clients, and they started working together on an iteration basis. They started to get things that could be delivered. They started to do regular demos. And you know what? 3 months later, the construction company turned around and awarded them a £1 million contract with no scope. There's an objective to this contract, but the team will work out the details. What will be built, the features, the stories, the product items, that's going to be worked out by the team, which is a joint team of Zone and their client. So I'm trying to compile this into a template for you. And so there's two parts to this template. One is the contract. But I don't think you can have an agile contract if you don't couple it with an execution model that matches that contract. I think if you have an agile contract and you can't execute on it, if you can't structure the way you're working to match the contract, then you're going to have problems. So as an overarching principle in the contract, it's a risk-sharing contract. In a traditional contract, one side tends to absorb the risk, and that's usually the supplier. The supplier nominally takes all the risk on, and that may mean they pad prices, that might mean they pad schedules. It's not good if the supplier takes on all the risk, because then the client can push back and say, hey, not my problem, you sort it out, which means the client is less incentivized to work with the supplier. Conversely, if the client takes on all the risk, then what incentive has the supplier got to work better, smarter, more reliably? So it's going to be risk sharing. As I just said, and as Stuart was saying, we set an overarching objective. There is a final goal. We'll build a CRM system, increase our sales, more eyeballs on the website. But, and this might be a little different to the way Stuart was talking about, this is a contract for services, not a contract for scope. This is not a contract that's going to deliver you 50 product backlog items. This is a contract which is going to deliver you development services, that is going to help you build something. And it's a contract that will, within the contract, you will discover what needs building, you'll deliver it, and you will flex accordingly. And so the contract is hiring a supplier who is also skilled at helping you, the client, understand what you need and what will deliver value, what will deliver benefit. Now, you can fix the time and you can fix the cost. That, by implication, means you're going to fix the capacity, the number of people who are working on this. I'd also say you want an easy exit contract, or if you want to structure as just a rolling contract, that's fine either way. And yes, both sides want some commitment, as Dean was saying, but it should also be easy for both sides to walk away if things are not working. Again, that incentivizes both sides for it to work well. It also incentivizes you to deliver value When the value isn't there any longer, perhaps because you've delivered it all, you can walk away from it. In truth, you could always exit a contract. It just doesn't matter how many no exit locking clauses you've got. It was really a question of how much you pay the lawyers and how much of a penalty charge you pay to exit. So we want an easy exit contract, or a contract which has a rolling, maybe 2-month period. That's the contract template. To execute on that, start small and grow. You start with a small team, a small piece of work, a small period of time, a small amount of money. As with so many things in software development, the key is to get good at small. So you start small, and if it goes well, you can grow it. You have a combined team. And when I say combined team, I'm thinking combined in 2 ways. You have combined client people and supplier people. So you've got people from the client and people from the supplier working together as one team. It's also combined in that you have a discovery people and you have delivery people. So discovery people, business analysts, product managers, representatives from the client. Most of the delivery people probably come from the supplier side. Some may come from the supplier, from the client, but this is a combined team. This approach of having all sides represented, business people and technology people, I call BizTech. And I think that we're going to see more of that in future. The other thing which is going to be a bit strange to some of you is you need to keep quality high. And the reason you keep quality high is so you can use that easy exit clause. If you have low quality, the problem is you then get sunk costs and it becomes difficult to exit because the amount of money you need to write off is high. And you can test this because the team are going to be releasing early, releasing often. And when I say release early, I'd like to see them release at the end of the first sprint after 2 weeks. And I'd like to see them release every 2 weeks, if not more often. And if a team can't release early and can't release often, then I have questions over their quality. This also means you need a regular governance procedure. You need a regular governance review. And because if you're going to exercise that exit clause, you need to have the management systems in place to do that. You need to be thinking about this. So regular governance reviews where you're looking at what has been delivered. Has it delivered what you've expected? If not, what can you change? And as Dean was saying, we've got our famous iron triangle here. So in iron triangle terms, the scope, we have a goal. The team are there to find out, discover what needs doing and decide what the highest value items is. The scope is very, very flexible. As long as we're building towards the goal, it's flexible. Schedule, you can fix schedule. And I encourage you to fix the schedule strategically. How long can we spend on this? How long have we got? When does this need to be in the market? When are our competitors working? And you can fix the cost strategically. How much can we afford to spend on this? How much can we afford to lose? You set the schedule and the cost strategically. Quality, as I said, we need high quality. You always keep quality high. That allows you to have an easy exit. That sets the goal, you trust the team, that's your context. Cost, once you know your cost, in our industry, cost is people multiplied by time, overwhelmingly. There's some fudge factor. But cost is people multiplied by the time you have them for, which means people is cost divided by time. We decide strategically how much we can spend, and we can start small. We can do a small piece of work. We can spend $250,000, and if it works out, we can spend a whole million and then 2 million and however much. And we decide how long we've got for this. And that dictates how many people you have. I like to talk about minimally viable teams. Start with a small, tiny team, grow it as you need to. As I said, fix the spend strategically. How much is it worth? How much can you afford? Let the team work within those constraints. Start small, let the big money follow. I'm going to have to skip these 2 slides because of time constraints here. Just re-emphasizing, we have low quality, we get locked in. There's my contact details. There's some of my books. And there's the Dear Customer letter. I think we've got one more speaker and then we're on to questions. Thank you very much.